Hello and welcome. In this video I want to talk about the 5 most basic stances in Kung Fu. Although these are not made for real combat, they are really helpful to build up the strength of your core and your legs, and also to improve your balance. Later on I will make a video about stances for real fighting, and I will also make videos about these stances being used in a different way to train, in specific how you can change between those stances, so you can put your stance training on another level. So the first stance, and probably the most common one in Kung Fu, is the Mabu, or in English the horse stance. So the legs are like shoulder length away from each other, and then we practically just sit down while pointing with our knees outwards. The important thing is that we do it with the strength of our legs and not like this, where we put a lot of strain on our knees. So we sit down like this and keep our upper body straight. The hip is not, this is one very common mistake, is that you perfectly push your hip out like this, like if you would sit on the toilet, but this is wrong. We want our hip to shift a bit forwards, so our back and our spine is straight, to improve our balance. So we sit down like this, our knees showing up outwards, our toes showing to the front, and in the best case you're able to hold the stance with 90 degrees here. We don't want to have it more like this, but perfectly 90 degrees. And there, that already is the Mabu, and you can improve the stance as well. And to test if you have those 90 degrees and to train to hold this stance, with putting, sadly I don't have one here now, a stick on your legs, so that when you go too deep, the stick will roll to your hip, and you are too high, the stick will just fall down. But if you have the 90 degrees, the stick can just stay here, and you will probably feel pretty fast that this stance is pretty tiring to hold. But if you keep holding it and train this one again and train this again and again, then you will surely build up the strength of your legs. So next is the Gong Bu. For this we have one leg in front, one leg behind, and keep our behind leg straight and the entire foot on the ground, while we try to reach 90 degrees in this leg here with this knee. Our front foot, the toes, don't show directly to the front, but like 45 degrees or 30 degrees to the side, like inside. This is so the stability of the knee is improved. Like this, it's a lot harder to push the knee than if it's straight. Like this, it will shake much more and be a lot more unstable. So like I've said, we keep our behind leg straight, the entire foot is on the ground, right foot slightly shows inwards, our hip is pushed or is showing to the front, our upper body is straight, and like I've said, 90 degrees here is perfect. In the beginning, if you start with holding the stance a bit higher like this is no problem, but I would really recommend you to try to reach 90 degrees, even if you're not you hold the 90 degrees for a shorter time than if you would hold a higher stance for a longer time. But holding a high stance will still be helpful to build up your strength. With this stance, we can change the legs, meaning like here, my right leg is in front, but also you can do it different. You can do it the other way around with the right leg, with the left leg in front, like this. So our third stance is the poo-poo. So for the poo-poo, we choose one side and then turn our hip. This time I turn it to the left, like 45 degrees, and now I will put most of my weight on the right leg and I will go down. My left foot will stay entirely on the ground, the leg is straight, the toes of both feet show to the front, and again I will do my best to keep my upper body straight. There's no problem if you keep your hands on the ground in the beginning to keep your balance, because the stance is really hard to hold if you're not used to it. But if you do this, you should put your hands between your legs like this and not like here to this side or to this side, because if you would do this, you would pretty much break your balance and you won't be able to learn the stance and improve the flexibility in your hip. Because for this stance you also need to train the flexibility in your hip, and if you're not able to do this in the beginning, no problem, just keep practicing and trying and you will improve with time. And again, here you can change sides, meaning if I turn my hip to the right, I will put my weight on the left leg and go into the poo-poo. So the two missing ones are the Xiu-bu and the Shu-bu, and for one of them we have one leg behind, we put the other one in front but standing on the toes, and then we just put our weight on the behind leg. For this we don't put the weight on the knee but on our leg, leaning like this, our body is straight, the front foot is touching with the toes, the ground, and again the foot does not show directly to the front but a little bit bent inwards. And perfect would be again to reach 90 degrees with this leg. And again here we can change legs. Left foot behind now, right foot in front, touching the ground with the toes, and most weight again on the behind leg. It's like 70-80% of the weight should be on your behind leg, like this. This stance is really hard to hold for a longer time because you have so much weight on your behind leg and it's really hard on your muscles and also on your balance, but therefore it is also a really good way to improve those things. And finally, for the other one, the last one, we can start in the beginning with turning one way. I just turned the back to you so you can see it better now. We have one way, turn, and again, legs apart from each other, turn 180 degrees, the feet stay in place, but it will also turn, of course. And now I will sit down like this. My behind foot is now on his toes and the ball, while my behind foot is entirely on the ground. This stance is especially hard to hold if you don't have a certain degree of flexibility in your legs and also your hip, and will probably take some time to get used to sit comfortably in. So the final goal for this is that you should be able to sit and relax in this stance. And also, again, we can change sides. This time I will just turn my hip to the left 180 degrees and again sit down. So here, these are the 5 most basic stances in Kung Fu, with the most common ones, the Ma Bu, the Pu Bu and the Gong Bu. So the first 3 ones that I showed you. And again, like I've said, I will do another video where I will show you how you can change between those stances, and this will help you to improve the strength of your hip and your core again, but this time in a dynamic way and not just hold. This is just a different kind of energy, and even though you may be able to hold the stance for a long time, there are different kinds of energy and power if you change between stances, and this can be helpful as well to train to improve the strength of punches and so on, but more in the video about changing the stances. Yeah, I wish you a good training, and until next time, goodbye.